The man who woke up in the morgue. What if the last thing you remember is everything going black, and the next thing you feel is cold metal beneath your body? No voices, no light, no movement, just silence. And then you realize something is very, very wrong. Because you're not lying in a bed. You're not in a hospital room. You're somewhere colder, somewhere quieter. And when you try to move, you can't. Tonight's story isn't fiction. Cases like this have been reported for decades. People declared dead who weren't dead. And what you're about to hear is one of the most disturbing stories of this kind. In the early 1900s, in a small European hospital, a man named Thomas Reed was brought in late one evening. He had collapsed suddenly in the street, without warning. There were no signs of illness. He was just gone. Gone. When doctors examined him, they found no pulse and no visible breathing. He responded to no stimulus at all. And back then, medicine wasn't what it is today. There were no heart monitors, no brain scans, no machines to confirm life. There was only human observation. And after several minutes of checking, the conclusion was made. Thomas Reed was dead. His body was moved to the hospital morgue later that night, a quiet windowless room, cold stone walls, rows of metal drawers, the kind of place no one wants to be.
Especially
alone. Nobody knows how long it took. Maybe minutes, maybe hours, but at some point during the night, Thomas Reed woke up. At first, it was pure confusion, a slow return to awareness, a desperate feeling of cold pressing into his back. Then came the realization he couldn't move properly. His arms felt heavy. His body was unresponsive. And when he tried to open his eyes, there was almost no light whatsoever to see anything. It was almost complete darkness, and the faint outline of something above him. Then, his memory slowly returned. He remembered collapsing. He remembered being on the street. Suddenly the truth hit him. He wasn't resting. He wasn't recovering. He'd been declared dead. Panic doesn't begin to describe what came next. He kept trying to move his arms. At first, nothing. Then slowly, but surely, they responded. He felt extremely weak. He was shaking, but some movement was possible with great effort. Then he pushed upward and felt solid resistance, solid, cold, unforgiving metal, just inches above his face. He tried to shout, but nobody could hear him. Barely a sound came out of the solid metal box, the prison that he was in, and the room absorbed any sounds that did come out. He realized nobody in the wound could hear him, and he was completely alone, as if he was on another planet. But in that moment, he responded to this terrifying situation in the only way he could, by finding the will to survive. With what little strength he had left, he pushed against the cold, hard metal box. It seemed futile, but he pushed again and again and again because there was nothing else that he could do. Unexpectedly, the metal tray shifted slightly beneath him. A small movement, but enough to give him more hope. Above him, the morgue was silent. No footsteps, no voices. He was just there, alone, with rows of the dead, lifeless cold bodies stacked, with injuries sustained from horrific accidents, or old people who naturally expired from disease or old age. Sometimes, while he lay there in that cold metal box, he imagined that there were spirits walking around him all over the morgue. And maybe he imagined it, but some voices seemed to be calling out. In a state of terror, the man noticed his efforts to escape had caused the tray beneath him to begin to slide, slowly at first, but then more. The friction broke, and suddenly it dropped forward. The sound echoed through the room, a sharp, metallic crash, loud enough to be heard from outside the morgue, and, against all probability, moments later, he could hear the footsteps of the living. A door opened, and light flooded into the morgue. A startled hospital worker stepped inside, and what she saw would stay with her for the rest of her life. Thomas Reed was sitting upright. He was pale, shaking, and looked barely conscious. But he was definitely alive. Stories like this may sound impossible, but they have happened. In fact, cases of people waking up in morgues, funeral homes, and even coffins have been documented across history. And even today, rare medical conditions can slow the body down so much that death can be mistaken. One such case is that of a Kenyan man named Paul Matura. He was declared dead in 2014 at a hospital in Nairobi after reportedly ingesting poison. He showed no signs of life, no visible breathing, no response whatsoever. He was moved to the morgue and placed in cold storage, which raises a question that's hard to ignore. If this could happen to him, how many others were never discovered? Imagine your last memory being the moment you collapse, and the next thing you experience is waking up somewhere meant for the dead, alone, in the dark, with no one expecting you to ever open your eyes again. If you enjoy true stories like this, ones that sound impossible but actually happened, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, because next time, the story I'm going to tell you is even more disturbing than this one.